Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Warren County Fiscal Courts, now in order. Thursday, March 13th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Happy to have everyone here. We're also excited to have, for our invocation, start off how we should do each meeting with Pastor Brandon Thompson from New Era Church is here to lead us in invocation. That will be followed by the Pledge of the Flag by Master Eric Aldridge. Pastor Thompson.
Would you pray with me? Our Father, we're thankful today to live in a free society. We're grateful to live in this great county, this great state, this great nation. Father, I pray for those who sit in front of me now who have been given the task to lead this county. And I just thank you for giving them wisdom to know how to lead. Thank you for helping them to live with courage and integrity. Thank you for helping them to lead us in a righteous way that would be pleasing to you and honoring to our founding. Father, I also ask that you would strengthen all of our county officials, all of those who protect us. And we ask that, Father, that you would especially also be with their families, their spouses, their children, and that you would give them protection, that you would give them wisdom, and that you would help them, Father, in any way that they need it. We thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful nation. And we ask, Father, that we would all be led by you. And we ask this all in your precious and mighty name, the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Thompson. Appreciate that. Clerk, please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Here.
Esquire Lasley.
Here.
Esquire Cummings.
Here.
Esquire Williams.
Here.
Esquire Lawrence.
Here.
Esquire McWhorter.
Here.
First item is approved minutes of the fiscal court meeting on February 27th, 2025. Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Aldridge. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Item 5 is approve the personnel changes for Warren County. Motion by Squire Lasley, second by Squire Williams. Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 6, approve the work schedule for the Warren County Road Department. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, before we get to item 7, we do have a presentation to make. We've got we've got a lot of great things on the agenda today, but 2 of importance to this community as well, and we want to go over those. Before we have the second reading of our ordinance 2503, I want to remind for the general public and for the people that are here that might not have been here before, if you'll do me the indulgence to let me read from a timeline, because this is important about where we have been, where we are, and where we're going, and for this court to consider. And so this is affecting the future of our volunteer fire departments and our Warren County Fire Department. And so I wanted to read a few things, and then we're going to have a presentation by Bill Rector, and then we'll open the floor up for comments as well. So on March 31st, 2022, when everyone up here was running for office along with about 15 other people, the Warren County Fire Chiefs Association had a candidate forum. Many of you were there. And at that forum, many things were asked about the future of volunteer fire departments, about funding, about equipment, about personnel, And all of those people that were at that were in support of whatever that would take to improve our fire services. In April of '23, I formed an RFP committee to hire an outside consultant to analyze all aspects of the volunteer fire departments. I will tell you, I'm a giant believer of uninvolved consultants who will come in and do a true story about what is going on. We accepted a bid in March from Mission CIT for $48,300, and that RFP was advertised October 26th of '23. We picked Mission CIT, and they spent 7 months preparing this document. Each and every person in this room that's affiliated with the fire department probably spoke with them. I have no problem saying it. I think Mission CIT was wondering if I was asleep at the wheel. I purposely, and will tell each of you right now, purposely had zero contact with Mission CIT. They mentioned many times they didn't think that was maybe that they've done before, but I wanted to have the unvarnished truth and not anything that I think that should be in that report. And so I had very little to do with the Mission CIT. I'm not saying that for myself. I'm saying it because I know it's in the best interest of Warren County. I wanted them to have an unbiased access to all of our fire departments. They made their presentation to Warren County Fiscal Court on May 23rd of 2024, and it was a 182-page comprehensive review of our volunteer fire service systems, its needs, and the future of firefighting and emergency services in Warren County. In July of '24, we formed a fire coordinator hiring committee. One of the first things that they said to do was to find a fire coordinator that could work with fiscal court and could work with all 9 of our fire departments and the fire chiefs. The fire coordinator hiring committee put forth the recommendations in November of 2024. We had several chiefs on that department as well, on that committee, as well as Esquire Ron Cummings, Esquire Eric Aldridge, and Deputy Judge Brian Downing. Fiscal Court approved the hiring of Mr. Bill Rector on December 5th, 2024, and Mr. Rector relocated from Maryland with his family and began work in Warren County January 6th of this year. Over that entire period, countless meetings were held with the volunteer fire chiefs on the direction of support and funding they needed. In front of you today is one of the most important things about that. It's a funding resolution and funding ordinance that was voted on the last time. But today, I've asked Bill Rector to come. We're going to do a deep dive into those, not only those numbers, but how they came about, the numbers, and what's happening. I think you'll find out that we have 2 choices to make. And the choices are to do nothing and pray that the fine men and women of our volunteer fire departments continue to put more and more and more and more pressure on themselves, or that we act to try to make it better for every citizen of Warren County, and I think you'll find that out today. So I'm happy to have Bill Rector here to make a presentation right now. Thank you, Bill.
Morning. Just as a brief introduction, I'm Bill Rector, the County Fire Coordinator for Warren County. Today's presentation is geared towards providing a general overview as to where we are and where we're potentially headed with some improvements in the mix. So the County Fire Department as a whole, viewing it as a system, we have 9 fire departments with 24 stations spaced geographically throughout the county. We have 3 large capacity tankers of 3,000 gallons. We have 3 ladder trucks, approximately 716 miles of county roads. That is not including the interstate, nor is it including state highway or state roads. And generally speaking, the ISO rating within the 5-mile radius of those stations is between a 5 and a 6, and that's because of the hard work of the folks behind me, along with a 9 or a 10 in the regions of the county that are that are outside of the 5-mile radius. So generally speaking, the fire departments handle much more than just responding to building fires. Building fires is a portion of our response. However, they handle far greater responses than just that. These are examples. This is not an all-inclusive list. These are examples of the various types of incidents that these men and women do respond to on a regular basis, as recent as this morning. I'm not going to read the list to you. However, it is a wide-ranging list from relative lower priority incidents to higher critical incidents involving life and death situations. In the bottom, I believe it noteworthy to show you that based on current trending, if we continue at the current rate for call volume, it is projected that we will be approaching 10,000 calls for service within the next 5 years. Last year's call for service was 4,666 dispatched emergencies. So the average citizen may not know this, and I think it's critical that we share this information. The folks behind us answer the call for service and do a tremendous job in doing so. It's our obligation to support them. However, there are lower priority or more common types of emergencies that these folks are dispatched to that, again, the average citizen just may not know about. These folks are handling medical calls, routine fire alarms, sprinkler activations, and the list goes on. Motor vehicle accidents. The folks from Woodburn handled a significant accident yesterday with the city, and the list goes on. So please just know that the fire departments, while it's in their name, handle much more than just responding to building fires. So about 20 years ago, the folks behind us and their leadership took on the ginormous task of venturing down and assisting with medical responses. That is a huge burden. However, it is the accepted burden that these folks have taken on to meet the request of the citizens by providing timely service in the medical realm. So they're doing so coupled with training that they must adhere to and protocols that they must follow in support of the local hospital system. This is not a unique situation to Warren County. This is the framework that many jurisdictions, most jurisdictions in the country currently utilize. So medical responses is a significant call volume type for our responders. So as you'll see here on this list shows what may not be aware to many folks, the types of emergencies that the fire department responds to outside of the lights and sirens response that would require assistance. Flooding conditions, assisting law enforcement, whether it's with accident reconstruction lighting or cleaning up the roadway, lift assists for assisting with EMS. Unknown emergencies, we get dispatched to unknown emergencies all the time. So the challenge with that is trying to figure out how we're going to respond because little information is gathered. Animal emergencies, the Plano Fire Department assisted with one last week. Forcible entry assistance, whether it's for law enforcement or medical or anything else. And then as we have a storm approaching, these folks will be on standby, ready to assist the citizens as needed. So as we discussed previously, the Insurance Services Office rates jurisdictions based on their fire protection. That fire protection takes into account many different factors. However, most importantly, as you see in the bottom left corner here, immediate ways to provide assistance with decreasing, which is a good thing, your ISO rating, the lower the number, the better, would be increasing the number of responding personnel, using standardized procedures, upgrading equipment, and upgrading the water supply system. As you see in the bottom right corner, an increase in the ISO rating means a higher insurance cost to the homeowner. And we'll discuss this a little bit later into the presentation. However, it's incumbent upon all of us, including the folks behind us that spend a great deal of time and energy working on their ISO rating, to figure out ways that we can do whatever it takes to lower the ISO rating. The methods of evaluation, which we discussed briefly, which I'll get into a little bit more detail, would be increasing our water supply capabilities. There's hydrants that we can add, large capacity tankers, which would be 3,000 gallons or more, increasing the number of on-duty or responding personnel, increasing training and equipment, and then the standard operating day-to-day requirements that these folks strictly adhere to currently are all calculated into that equation. This particular slide is provided to us from Management Solutions for Emergency Services, And it represents the premium cost based on the home value, based on, if you look on the left side, your ISO rating of 10 through 5. So we have here highlighted the $300,000 category. Not saying that all residences are valued at that, but generally speaking, the average mean residential value, insured value in this county is approximately $340,000 based on the data that we were provided. So if you look at that, an ISO rating of 10, which for all intents and purposes is representative of no fire protection, the average, again, these are placeholders, represent this as $2,826, whereas you look at a 5, it's $1,179. So it is advantageous to us to do whatever we can to decrease the ISO rating, which is beneficial, lowering the number, which would then lower the cost to the homeowner. And as you see in the bottom here, I am going to read this. Our objective with this phased approach will be to get the countywide rating down to a 4, thus improving the cost to the citizen. With the growth projected in the county, inaction will result in an increase in the ISO rating. So how do we measure this? As mentioned previously before, we measure it with increased response times. Let me just clarify. Decreased response times, faster response times is really what I intended to say. Increased number of responding personnel during peak hours, increased amount of water, standardizing the system, and then working to establish a county fire department structure that would allow us to apply for grant funding, which is a bit of a challenge in the current structure as a county. So what does the future look like? Right now, with the folks behind me, the elected officials, and the stakeholders, we are charting the path for determining our future. The combined efforts of the leadership of the fire departments, the folks in front of me, and the community members themselves, we are going to see changes in the short term that are going to carry us through for the remainder. We're going to utilize national standards, fire service best practices, and common sense to chart this path. This process will not be without challenges. However, we are going to be persistent in ensuring that we provide adequate protection to our citizens. Time for actions now. We discussed this at the last presentation. Not acting is detrimental. Quite honestly, I don't view that as an option. Acting now will directly impact the safety and well-being of everyone in Warren County, whether they're visitors or citizens alike. Acting now will provide a mechanism to better equip and train our fire department system moving forward. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Questions for Bill? Thank you for that, Bill. We have a couple people and then we'll open it up. But first up, we have asked Chief Lee from Richardsville. Say a few words, Chief.
Thank you. Again, for y'all that don't know me, I'm Brian Lee, the Fire Chief of Richardsville Fire Department. Thank you, Judge, and the magistrates for allowing me to speak once more on this opportunity to change the Warren County Fire Service forever. Thank you all again for supporting the first reading of this ordinance. I want to emphasize the need for the ordinance to pass today so the funding mechanism can be put in place to fund the needed daytime personnel as well as apparatus and building improvements for the Warren County Fire Departments. Since I became chief in 2008, our fire department has seen an increase in calls of being over 1,200 calls annually. Richardsville is the busiest department in Warren County, but all departments have experienced those similar increases. Just an example, since our last meeting on the 27th, our fire departments responded to 60 calls. Of the 60, 32 were in the daytime hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. 28 were from 5 p.m. To 7 a.m. We're experiencing a large call volume during the daytime hours. That is, for every department, the time of day that we have less manpower available to make those calls. When I became chief, the majority of the calls were in the evening through the overnight hours, but as you can see, we're experiencing as many calls now during the daytime hours as we do at night. The ordinance that is before you will allow the needed relief for the hours of the day where we simply do not have the immediate available manpower for the emergency calls. As mentioned before, in our last meeting, the Richardsville Fire Department since 2014 has had a part-time firefighter EMT hired to respond to daytime calls 5 days a week. Alvaton Fire Department has a similar plan in place, but it simply isn't enough for the current and future calls for service. I do want to emphasize again that I'm concerned, as Bill's mentioned in his slides, that if we fail to take advantage of what is at hand to offset the current staffing shortages and have an apparatus replacement plan in place through the funding mechanism in front of you, that all 9 departments could realistically be looking at future ISO increases. And lastly, we are at a pivotal point today for the Warren County Fire Service. I want to thank each of you and encourage you to vote yes on the second reading of this ordinance so we can look back as we leave here today, knowing the right thing and decision has been made to change the course of our fire service and enable us to provide the best service possible for the citizens of Warren County. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, next up from the Alvaton Board, Deanne Stanley is with us today.
Good morning. Excuse me. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Deanne Stanley, Chair of the Alvaton Fire Department Board of Directors. The mission of the Alvaton Fire Department shall be protection, preservation, and the well-being of the health, safety, and property of all persons residing, working, and otherwise within the Alvaton Fire District. The mission of the Board of Directors is to ensure that a force of active firefighters and fire officers exist, which is sufficient to provide adequate response to fire and rescue emergencies in its district and Warren County. Both mission statements are valid and strong, but I worry about our ability to be able to meet these commitments today and going forward with a growing community, stagnant funding, and the lack of firefighters to answer the call. Aging apparatus, stations needing repair, and uncommon practices are all contributing to our inability to fully protect and serve our community. And these barriers must be addressed and fixed. But the most alarming barrier I see for Alvaton is staffing. Firefighter staffing directly affects delivery of fire protection service and is therefore essential to any discussion and debate involving service levels. In the last 5 years, the number of calls Alvaton has received has increased by 57%. This is not a surprise given the explosive current growth and the current continued expected growth of Warren County as projected by the Kentucky State Data Center. The average number of responders to Alvaton calls is 2.26 firefighters. According to the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, for an area and population similar to the Alvaton Fire District, the effective minimum staffing recommendation per call should be 10. In addition, OSHA requires by law that 2 firefighters remain outside as a standby team for the 2 firefighters who work inside a burning structure. Therefore, the absolute minimum staffing should be no less than 4 firefighters. The results of a Dallas Fire Department study indicated that staffing below 4 personnel overtaxes the operating forces and leads to higher losses of property or life. The study concluded that firefighter safety was indeed directly associated with minimum staffing. Citations of numerous sources of statistics and unpublished research showed firefighter injuries increased dramatically when staffing dropped below 4 firefighters per apparatus. Over the past 5 years, the number of calls Alvaton has been unable to respond to has increased 83%. There is simply no one available to answer all of these calls. The average response time, as calculated from the dispatch and arrival times for the past 5 years, is 13.65 minutes for the first unit to arrive on scene, albeit this could only be with one person. According to the NFPA, the response time should be no more than 10 minutes. Even then, you have to account for mobilization time and additional adequate personnel to arrive before firefighting and rescue tasks can begin. This is often well above the national recommended standard. In the Dallas study, when a rescue occurred between 12 and 15 minutes, the survival rate was only 46.6%. The rate dropped to 5.5% when rescue occurred between 15 and 17 and a half minutes. Thus, a variance of only 2 to 3 minutes in speed with which rescue operations could be completed can increase fire victim survivability by 8-fold. And in a less statistical way to put it, one might think that a little over 3.5 additional minutes is not long. But to a parent whose child has life-threatening injuries due to an accident, or a family watching their home being fully engulfed by flames, 3.5 minutes is an eternity. So why are we seeing the increases in non-response to calls, increases in response time, and decreases in the number of responders? It is certainly not due to the lack of effort and commitment of all the firefighters you see in this room. It is due to there not being enough available firefighters to handle the demand. When the Alvaton Fire Department was established in the early 1970s, many of our founding members were farmers. It was a perfect fit. Farming was the ideal occupation to allow the volunteer firefighters to leave what they were doing at a moment's notice to go to the aid of another. But the world is different today. Volunteerism is down. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the volunteer rate in the U.S. has been dropping steadily for more than a decade. The Volunteer Fire Service and Warren County are not immune to this trend. The volunteer base is aging at a rate faster than younger volunteers are joining the fire service. And there is more economic pressure on individuals. Many people are having to work longer hours and even multiple jobs just to make ends meet. In addition, Alvaton offers paid part-time shifts during the most critical days and times. However, most shifts go unfilled as firefighters are doing what they have to do to support themselves and their families. They're working. Clearly, a volunteer-only fire protection service is not sustainable and puts our community members and our firefighters at risk. The community recognizes this as well, as 2 of the top 3 service delivery expectations from the survey conducted by Mission CIT were fast response times and appropriate number of firefighters responding. We must immediately address the staffing needs in the Alvaton Fire District and across the county, especially during the weekday, daytime hours. We must go to a combination of paid staff to fill the gaps of our dedicated firefighters through no fault of their own are unable to fill. We must remember our mission statements. But paid staff, along with our volunteers, takes funding. Funding the departments do not have and will not have with the current member dues. Our dedicated firefighters put others before self and risk their own safety to answer the call. Today is your day to answer the call. Please vote yes. The citizens of and the visitors to Warren County and all the dedicated firefighters deserve a well-funded, well-staffed, and well-operated fire protection service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stanley. And then finally, got Chief Pretty from the Smiths Grove Fire Department would like to speak.
Good morning, Judge and Magistrates. Appreciate you asking me to speak again. I was asked to speak on the history of the Warren County Fire Departments, and being I'm probably the longest serving volunteer in Warren County, I was happy to come up here and explain what the fire departments in Warren County needs immediately. Back in the 60s, first off, I'm a second generation fire chief. My dad was a fire chief in Smiths Grove in the mid to late 60s. Again, volunteerism, you just couldn't have a full-time job and support your family and play fireman all day long. So he was like most other people. He had to support a family, so he stepped down. I was been in the fire department since I was 6 years old, running around fire trucks and enjoying every minute of it. So in the 50s and 60s, there was two fire departments in Warren County. Woodburn Fire Department in the south end of the county, Smiths Grove Fire Department in the north end of the county. So two departments to cover whole Warren County, which is impossible. So back in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, Judge Griffin summoned the fire chiefs and another subject in the fire department, whether it be a board member, assistant chief, somebody to come to his office and have a meeting. Well, some other communities, and they would be Browning, Alvaton, and Richardsville. Those was the original 5 stations. They all sent representatives to Judge Griffin's office to have a meeting. And at the last minute, one of our guys couldn't make it, so he said, go with me. So here I go, a 16-year-old kid walking in Judge Griffin's office, and he walks in the office and he looks me straight in the eye and he said, well, glad I had this meeting on Saturday morning or you'd have had to miss school to be here. So it was kind of embarrassing at the time, but if you knew Judge Griffin, you knew that's how he was. So he didn't realize that I was a firefighter. He thought that I was one of the chief's kids that just come along for the meeting. So when the meeting got started, everybody got up and introduced themselves. And I introduced myself, and I was looking Judge straight in the eye, and I think he was more embarrassed that I was a firefighter than he thought that I was a school child sitting there coming to that meeting. But anyway, he had a vision. There was federal money running around. It was called revenue sharing money at the time. He had a vision. He wanted to put fire protection in Warren County. And he did. It worked. He purchased land, he built buildings, he bought 5 new fire trucks, he equipped those fire trucks, and all of a sudden we had 5 fire departments in Warren County. And things was going pretty decent, not near the calls that we have today, but us 5 departments was handling it. So more departments seen the results of what happened, so they got on board. So that's how we finally ended up with 9 volunteer fire departments. So again, his vision worked. He spent his revenue sharing money wisely. I don't know that he had the forethought that how he was going to fund it for the next 50 years, but he bit the bullet and done what he needed to do for fire protection in Warren County. And it was greatly appreciated, and it's still appreciated. So again, he had a model. The model worked for many years. Now that model is not working. So 50 years later, here I am standing before the court again, asking y'all to support this ordinance. It's needed, it's necessary, it's the future of Warren County. Also, that $46,000 fire truck he bought in 1972, that same truck today is $750,000. So that's the reason why the existing model don't work no more. We've got to have more funding, we've got to have more people, and here in the next few minutes, y'all have the opportunity to change Warren County fire protection for years and years and years to come, I hope. I appreciate you asking me to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You know, Chief, I thought about when we started off, we just asked our volunteers to have a 20-pound backpack on. If you could just carry that around, it'd be great. We're up to 150 pounds per person now. and we're asking our volunteers to go to 250 pounds on a backpack, if you can think of it in those ways. It is debilitating to our men and women who are protecting this community. And so no one confuses you with a school child anymore, Chief, but this community not only owes all of our volunteers a great deal of credit, but we especially owe you for what you've done for the community, for Smiths Grove, so thank you for that. I'm happy to have other people speak today. I want to just mention a couple things beforehand. This ordinance that is before fiscal court, this license fee for insurance companies that we've talked about is definitely a blended rate on insurance for the insurance companies. It's about a 3.3% blended rate, and that is 2% on accident, 2% on health, 2% on casualty, 2% auto, 7% fire and allied perils, and 7% inland marine for that blended rate there. That matches the city of Bowling Green. What I will say is the city of Bowling Green, a lot of people don't realize that city of Bowling Green, which thankfully, but they've had these same rates for 44 years. All of our incorporated cities as well do. Woodburn, Oakland, Smiths Grove, Plum Springs, all have a license fee in those cities as well. They are all free to do different things with it. This fee for insurance companies is going strictly to a public safety fund. It will not be used for other departments in the county. It does have a separate fee there for public safety. And so we'll track that to be able to do things with that. And I want to make sure that was, while the magistrates know that, I want to make sure there's no two ways about that. It is not a general fund add to do things with. It is for public safety use only. And so we will, if that passes, that's what we'll do. But at this time, I'm happy to have anyone that wants to speak for that. We did have that sign up. The only thing we always ask is, in situations like this, we need people to be a Warren County resident. So no offense, but well, it is offense. I'm not worried about someone thinks in Ohio. I don't care. So we weren't elected for people in Ohio. We've had that over the years. Like, okay, thanks for your input, but we're not interested in that. But we are interested, though, however, in all Warren Countyans' input and any questions on that. I'm happy to entertain that before we move on. But if you're so inclined, we're happy to do that. All right. If not, we'll go on with our agenda. Item 7. Oh, yes. Debbie, yes, ma'am.
I'm Debbie Ford. I am the chair of the Woodburn Fire Department and the proud mother for 3 firefighters. And I am for this ordinance, and we hope that you all feel that needed to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you for your family as well. Again, it goes without saying, thank you for Deanne. I will say it's something just for years and years, and learn from my family, but service before self, I think, is unfortunately becoming more rare in the world. But what I'm just going to say very quickly, sometimes we can't do anything about the world. What we can do is try to make Warren County the best it can be, and then we'll figure out the rest of the things later. But service before self is one of the most important things. You mentioned that. We have to do a better job, to be quite honest with you, with the younger generation to ensure that they know what that means. But to your point, the economic pressure sometimes on younger people of trying to pay the bills makes it a little tough. But what I would like you to know is, what I'm not going to do is, if I went around the room and asked all of our volunteers who here was over 40 years old, I think it's more than we would want. No offense, I'm over 40 as well. No offense to that.
You're over 40?
A little bit. But then if I said 50, then if I said 60, then if I said, I'm not looking at you, Jerry Trailstead, 70, he sat right in the middle. So what area of the world would we expect the insanely hard work and the dedication for people of that age. So it's not appropriate. We are so thankful for each and every one of you, but I do want to say that. So again, thank you all for the hard work that you do. Any other questions? If not, item 7 is approved second and final reading of ordinance 2503 imposing a license fee on insurance companies engaged in the business of insurance within Warren County. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley,
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next. Next items, number 8, approved determination amount of $6,000 to Boyd Cat for purchase of a utility broom sweeper attachment for a track loader for the Parks Department. This is a state price contract. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? Please call roll.
Esquire Aldridge,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Item 9 is accept the bid from Sigma Organics for ball field products, pesticides, herbicides, grass seed, and ice melt for Parks Department. This was the lowest and best bid. Motion by Squire Williams, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? Please call roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 10 is approved determination amount of $5,720 to Brentwood Lawnmower Shop for purchase of a Billy Goat sod cutter for the Parks Department. 3 quotes were obtained. This was the lowest and best. Motion by Squire Lasley, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
And just as a point, since we have a great crowd today, I think it's worth reiterating. Fiscal Court is responsible for all finances of Warren County, but by our law and ordinance, any expenditure over $2,500, this body has to approve. Most of these, of course, are in the existing budget of those departments, but anything that we spend, this court sees and has to approve. So, item 11 is approve resolution 2501 authorizing the Arts of Southern Kentucky, Inc. to construct an annex building on the Southern Kentucky Performing Arts Center campus. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Williams. This again is a building that SkyPack got state funding for to build, but we have to approve that since it's on our property. So, any other questions? Please call roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Gaines, is that why you were here? $950 an hour. I'm sorry. No, I'm playing. I get to call you out. Thank you, though. But thanks for all the hard work. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate everything from the county as well as our delegation in Frankfurt for making this possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Gaines. Good seeing you. Item 12 is approve the 211 report for February 2025. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? Please call roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 13 is approved determination amount of $7,794.46 to Wright Implement for purchase of a grapple for the John Deere tractor at Fillmore Park. This is for Sourcewell pricing. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence. Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 14 is approved resolution 2502 approving the community boundary signs honoring Miss Kentucky 2024 Chapeltinius. Motion by Squire Williams, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? It's great to be from Warren County. Mallory Hudson was Miss Kentucky last year and Chapeltinius this year, so 2 in a row for Warren County. It's pretty good. So please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence. Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, item 15 is approved determination amount of $1,731,156.10 to Atlantic Emergency Solutions for the purchase of 3 international 3,000-gallon tankers for the Warren County Fire Department. This is through Sourcewell pricing. And I've asked Bill Rector to say a few words on this as well.
Morning again. I have a prepared statement I'd like to read. Morning, Judge Gorman and members of Fiscal Court. I'm before you today respectfully requesting the funding for the purchase of several county-owned large-capacity water tankers to support the Warren County Fire Department system. As a result of the Mission CIT consultant evaluation, conversations with department leaders, and as a result of my own observations and assessment, it has been determined that there is an immediate need for large-capacity water tankers within our fire department system. Currently, there are 3, and they are housed one at each at Smiths Grove, Browning, and Alvaton. While these departments cover a portion of the county, an additional set of large-capacity tankers would better serve our entire county response area. This increased water delivery, coupled with a decreased response time, has the great potential to positively affect our ISO rating. Through collaboration and consultation, it has been requested that we seek funding for the below-listed vehicles. Just bear with me, please. Bid 1434, which is job number 40192, which is International HV 607 3,000-gallon tanker. Bid 1435 with job number 41183, which is International HV 607 3,000-gallon tanker. And bid 1436, which is job number 41187, which is also International HV 607 3,000-gallon tanker. These bids were obtained utilizing the nationally recognized Sourcewell pricing through Sourcewell member ID number 177759. After applying numerous discounts to include multi-unit purchase discounts and the Sourcewell pricing, the requested amount of these 3 units is $1,731,156.10. This amount is approximately $200,000 in savings. A determination on the location of these units is currently being worked out and will be finalized in the coming weeks. Using coverage maps and data, through the utilization of coverage maps and data is how we will determine the location of these units moving forward. The expected delivery of these items, if authorized, would be within the next 2 to 3 months based on these units currently being in production. Thank you. Any questions?
Make a motion.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? One thing I will say is, as many of the fire chiefs know, 2023 was when we had scheduled to purchase new vehicles. And we purposely put that off, understanding this Mission CIT and the things of this, so we have not done anything for 2 years to add to our fleet. So this is in our budget. We have had 2 years worth of not having those, but we're grateful for that because it's under budget. The $200,000 made a big difference of what we've put back. So there's no, this time, no transfers or anything that we have to do. This is right in our budget, so we appreciate that.
Bill, just want to verify, you said these delivery would be in 2 to 3 months?
Yes, sir. We are looking forward to getting these in rather quickly.
Great.
And again, it goes back to, appreciate the hard work, goes back to our ISO rating and everything we can do to protect that and protect these men and women that are helping us right now. Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lastly.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, item 16 is accept bids from Mighty Mulch, Simply Mulch, and Anderson Mulch for mulch products for the Parks Department. Each company is the lowest bidder on a different mulch products, and the lowest company for each product needed will be used for cost effectiveness. Motion by Squire Lastly, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lastly.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes,
McWhorter.
ma'am.
Item 17 is approve the second quarter financial report for Warren County. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lastly.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 18 is approve the lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet for 2 2024 Ford 750s with attachments for the road department in the amount of $3,098.56 per month each. This was previously approved April 28th, 2023, but is being amended due to a pricing variance. This is the contracted vendor. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lastly.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Treasurer, please report the claims.
General Fund, $1,162,679. Road Fund, $244,967. Jail Fund, $667,830. Stormwater Fund, $83,948. E911 Fund, $14,602. Fed Forfeiture Fund, $223. And LGEA Fund, $500. Be happy to answer any questions.
Motion to pay our bills.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams. Esquire Lawrence. Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Sheriff Hightower, he's in and out, so I think he's...
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, all right, great. Lynette?
I'd like to take a minute, since you guys are here collectively, I would like to thank you on behalf of our office for your service to the county. You guys do such a selfless job, and we appreciate it. So thank you all very much. Also, since I just came from the Ag Breakfast with the judge and several magistrates, I wanted to take an opportunity during Ag Month to thank our farm families, our agricultural families. They support this county as well so much, so I want to thank you. And also, if you haven't got your farm tags and you know a farmer, ask them to donate to the kids that extra $10. It comes back locally to Warren County FFA and 4-Hers, so it's so important to them. And I will say, for the last 10 years, Warren County has been #1 in collections for the ag tax, so we appreciate everything that everybody does.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. Yep, that's Ag Appreciation Week is next week, and while it should be 52 weeks a year, it is next week, but we appreciate it. It's a great honor to have the #1 ag tag in the state of Kentucky's in Warren County, and I see plenty of farmers here today. So next week especially, thank a farmer for the things they do and the hard work that they do each and every day. Chris Scummer, thank you very much. Josh, thank you. I think Nikki had to run. She had 2 meetings to go to. Hello, Holly. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, everything good in your world, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Ronnie?
Judge, I left with all the magistrates a packet about the event for flooding. And here we are tomorrow, we're expecting another round. So they continuously keep giving. But I did want to say thank you to all the volunteer firemen. In that report, you'll see jointly and together with the county departments and the city of Bowling Green responded to 11 water rescues during that event. Now, luckily, we had no injuries, but individuals of the public still disregarded the signs. That the road department did an extensive and great job of protecting those, but they drove around them and still had to be rescued. But as you can see, the dollar value, we did not meet our threshold as we expected, but still consistently about $300,000 worth of damages that the taxpayers will have to fix. But I did want to say thank you to all the volunteer firemen. I'm an old time when I'm not as old as Kenneth is. But it's a great day, and I'm glad to see it moving in the right direction.
Jailer Harmon, I wanted to see if you were paying attention, so I skipped over you on purpose. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. All right. Ben?
Thank you, Judge. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a BG 2050 effort going on right now. But I also want to remind everybody that we are in the process of updating our transportation plan that also goes through the year 2050. So tonight at the Sloan Convention Center Ballroom C from 4:30 to 6:30, there's an open house style public meeting. We have combined forces with the What Could BGB efforts, so we will be there in person. It will be an in-person, face-to-face opportunity to provide input. The exciting thing about this transportation meeting is we will be sharing the list of proposed projects and upgrades for all of the roads in Warren County. So this would be your opportunity to help us prioritize those. Again, it's 4:30 to 6:30, Sloan Convention Center, Ballroom C. There will be an interactive portion online after that you can get to from our website, warrenpc.org. And that you'll have the opportunity to help us vote and prioritize that list of roads that need to be upgraded. This includes federal roads, state roads, local roads, northern bypasses, southern bypasses, and everything in between. So it is a comprehensive transportation system. As you know, we have over $1 billion of need in transportation that have been identified, and we get between $50 and $100 million every 2 years to address those needs. So that prioritization is important. We need to know what everybody wants to see in this county as we move forward, as well as all of the other things on the what could BGB, over 3,900 different ideas to vote on and understand, and we've had over 800,000 votes on that effort, and hope to see more than that before it's over on the 17th. So,
Great. Thank you, Ben.
thank you.
Mr. Markham? Bill, you're on this list, but I'm not calling it. Oh, you have something?
Yes, sir. I'd like to take up some more time.
Oh, my gosh.
As we have everybody here today, I would like to take the moment to just stress on one point that the decisions that are made moving forward are to enhance their capabilities and to recognize that the years of service that they have committed and will continue to commit. Many of these folks here have taken time off of work to be here, and that's representative of what they do every day, meeting the calls. So just please know that their efforts are definitely recognized, and we're going to do everything we can to support them. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Well said. Squire McWhirter?
Yes, I would like to take just a second to recognize Rick Williams. He lost his mother this week, and prayers for you.
Yep. Thank you. Squire Aldridge?
Echo those prayers and thoughts, and also thank the men and women that are in this room, our volunteer firemen and women. It's an amazing service that you all provide to our county. And even today, as Mr. Rector just said, you've dedicated yourself and sacrificed even today, taking off of work. I'm sure countless of you took vacation days, flex time and those type of things just to be here and ask for support. And I'm honored to be a magistrate to be able to offer that support to you today and every day. And we all have an opportunity to support in one of our departments. Browning Volunteer Fire Department's Pancake Breakfast is coming up, April the 19th. It'll be there at Station 1 on Browning Road, so I encourage, let's pack that place out and let's show those men and women there our support as they do one of their fundraisers. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Squire Cummings?
I'll echo the sentiments to Rick and also Doug with what you're going through with your mother.
Thank you.
Prayers are for you and your family as you deal with those transitions. So, on a good note, I'm going to say happy birthday to two of my grandchildren. One turns 9 on Sunday and the other one turns 11 on Tuesday. So it will be a celebration time at the Cummings household. Happy birthday to both Kinley and Emma. Gotta get a plug in, it's not too early. Operation Anvil, May 24th, Saturday at Fillmore Park. You'll hear a lot more about it, but we are moving it this year to Memorial Day weekend, so it's my first public announcement that's coming, a big event. And I want to finish by saying that I've always said this, for anybody to talk to me, I think the volunteer fire departments are the backbone of Warren County. And I want to thank each of you all for your service that you have done and will continue to do as we transition to whatever's next. But today is a great day for Warren County. Not going to be popular by everybody, and nobody likes to have any extra fees on them. However, this is a bold and necessary move that we have to do to make sure we continue to send protection to our citizens and also equip you all with what you need to do the job that you do so well every day. So I don't want to go unnoticed by saying thank you personally to each and every one of you all for your sacrifices and your continued sacrifices as we move forward. This is just day one. And I promise you, if I stay as a manager of Warren County, that you will have my support and your efforts and support. We'll do everything we can to make Warren County, continue to make Warren County the greatest place in the world to live. And a lot of it's because of their service. So thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Squire Williams.
Thank you, Judge. Echo everything that's been said about the volunteer fire departments. I mean, As was said earlier, the model that was put in place back in the 50s and the 60s has worked well for a long time, but it's worked well because of the efforts of the volunteer firemen. We can't continue with that same model going forward, and we know that. So we're proud to be able to take this first step in moving toward the future and doing what we can for the citizens of our county. Thank you for your efforts, and we hope that you will continue to do it. We hope that what we've done today will help. I do want to say thank you to everyone for the condolences, the thoughts, the prayers, the well wishes that I've gotten in the loss of my mother. We'll have her visitation today from 4 to 8 at J.C. Kirby on Broadway, and the funeral is tomorrow morning. I don't want to put any pressure on anybody that you have to come, but I will have to miss the BG 2050 forum this evening. I hate to do that, and I hope that people will go and make your wishes known about the future of Bowling Green and Warren County.
Squire Lawrence.
Yeah, prayers for Rick and his family. You know, it's hard, you know, as a parent or something like that. And much thanks to all the volunteer firemen out there. You've done a great job for, like they say, 50 years. It's a huge, huge contribution to our community. I look forward to always supporting you guys in the future and trying to help you get everything you need.
Thank you. Squire Lasley.
Well, I got a lot of new ground to cover. Well, first of all, sending warm thoughts and prayers to both you and Rick. I mean, it's obviously a challenging time for y'all, and we're thinking of you. I don't think it can probably be said enough. You know, volunteers are really important for everything that goes on in a community like Warren County, but the most volunteers don't put in the time, energy, and resources and take on the risk that these men and women do. And that really is an incredible tribute to who they are and what they do for the community. I don't think we can ever do enough to thank them for it. Certainly the most important thing we do as a local government at the county level is to provide for the public safety of our citizens. And you guys have been doing that for years. Coordinator Rector's helping lead us to the next generation. Appreciate the work that him and the committee, both Eric and Ron served on that. That I think Deputy Judge Downing, they all did excellent work to make sure that we do the most important thing we do for the next generation or two. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Greg?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, and thank you for the attendance at the Treasurers Conference. It is hosted at the county of the president of the treasurers in Warren County. Greg is not the president, but a lady, very good treasurer from Edmonson County is, and they don't have a place big enough, so they're in Bowling Green. But Greg has been in attendance, and please go back, Greg, to learn more. Do not blow off the rest of that. Ms. Chandler?
I just wanted to echo, I'm so thankful for all the volunteer firefighters. You all do such a great job. I have a personal connection to many of you and count you as my friends. So I appreciate all of your service, particularly Kenneth. Kenneth, you've been here longer than me, so that's a long time. And it's always a good day to thank a farmer. I want to thank my brother Brandon for being a farmer. We used to call him a night farmer because he didn't get up early, but we love him and we're so proud of him, and we are thankful for everything that the farmers do. And my condolences and my sympathies to Rick, and prayers continue for you, Doug.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy. Crystal?
Thank you, Judge.
Deputy Judge Downing?
I just want to repeat prayers to you and Rick as well. And then a thank you to our entire volunteer system. Appreciate everything you guys do day in and day out. Leaving home when everybody else is sitting there enjoying dinner or whatever we need. Just thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, we have two retired elected officials with us. I see Robert Donahoe in the back of the room. Robert, thank you, former magistrate on fiscal court right here. Thanks for coming. And Daryl Trauber. Well, we got a bunch of 6th District people here. Ron's in trouble. We got everyone showing up here. But we appreciate their support over the years as well, and thank you to this court. I'm proud to work with each and every member of this court. They are a dedicated group of professionals who are interested not in the job, but in doing the best thing in the interest of all of the citizens of Warren County. And today, I'm proud to be a member of that as a great example to a lot of time. This has been one thing I will say, this has been almost a 2.5-year process. We have not taken this lightly. It is difficult decisions, many hours of conversation, looking at every option known to man. I don't mind telling you, sometimes there's tough ones and sometimes there's easy, and I think you always kind of lean toward easy at first. But when easy doesn't work, you have to do tough things. I appreciate each and every one of the professionalism of this court for making a generational change in Warren County from that standpoint there. So I am appreciative of that. It's been mentioned, my mother's in hospice care here. She's 96, just in her Saturday or Sunday at hospice in Southern Kentucky. And so be going back over there today. I'm going to share with you a quick story about my mom. There's 8 kids in my family, if you'll do me the thing, 6 boys and 2 girls. I had 2 beautiful sisters and 5 goofballs for brothers. But this is just typical of my mother. I always call her a Renaissance woman, just could do anything. But I'm the 7th of 8. My youngest brother, Stephen, 15 hours short of graduating from Western, went to my mom and said, "Mom, I actually don't even know what I want to do with my life, but my friend is moving to Atlanta and starting a band, and I think I'd like to try that." She said, "You know what? That sounds like an awesome idea. I would hate for you to miss this opportunity." This would never happen in my household, but my current household, but she said, "I think you should pursue that. You can always come back and get your education." My younger brother is, we'll find out September, is nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in September. And so those are things you think about, like, I have no idea what my mom was thinking. Although she probably just wanted to get rid of another child, probably. But at the same time, we all have great memories of our parents, I hope. And she's been a fantastic influence on me, and so I appreciate the prayers. I am waiting anxiously for her to see the full glory of God. And so thank you for the prayers, and we'll work on that. Thank you all for showing up today. We appreciate everyone's input today. Look forward to the future of Warren County. With that, a motion to adjourn by Squire Lawrence. We are adjourned.